Hey guys, welcome back to Pristine's Reads. So today I'm going to be reviewing Pieces of Light by Julie Cave. So this is the third book in the Dinah Harris series. So actually, this book the series has 4 books, but I was kind of confused because on the back here it says the final chapter in the Thrilling Fiction trilogy. So I was like, I don't know if the 4th book was like a later add-on, but like they couldn't correct the 3rd book in time, so I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is the 3rd book in the series. Yeah, let's jump straight into the summary. So you have our main character, Dinah Harris, a former FBI agent, and the new case this time is about a deadly serial bomber that apparently only bombs churches for some reason. So he's going around and, yeah, basically blowing churches up. So I've got that there. So Dinah's working with her former partner, Ferguson, which they're, like, working together in the FBI on the Deadly Disclosures book. And now they're also working with this other guy called Aaron Sinclair, who is a bomb expert, and Dinah also happens to be falling in love with him, but that's just a side thing. Anyway, so yeah, we've got them trying to figure out who this bomber is, and then we've also got another like side storyline. Actually, we've got 2 side storylines, so let's dig into those a little bit. First storyline is with this family. When the book starts out, the dad of the family has just died and they're holding his funeral. So the mom, her name is Rosa, and then her 2 kids are Isabel and Michael. Isabel is married already to this guy named Scott, and it's kind of like an abusive relationship, but we'll get into that later. And then Michael is just by himself working. He lives by himself. So yeah, turns out, I'll just flesh this out a little bit. Turns out their dad used to like abuse Isabel and Michael and even Rosa a lot. And they would like end up in the ER with like broken bones, black eyes, etc. And they would always give the stories, you know, that they like got into a fight with other kids, or they fell out of a tree, or yeah, just stuff like that. And whenever like their dad like hit their mom and stuff, she would always wear like long sleeves, even though it's like, yeah, but like, so the thing with Isabel and Michael is that Michael tells her that she married her father, so to speak. And what he means by that is that basically the guy that Isabel married, Scott, is like literally just as mean as her dad was to her. And Scott would like, he was never like super mean to Isabel, as in like she had a broken bone or something because she didn't do something right for him. Like, Scott always expects her to have dinner cooked for him and ready when they get back. And when Isabel doesn't, then usually she receives like a tongue lashing, the cold shoulder for like weeks. But yeah, one day Scott does something crazy, but that's gonna go in the spoiler section, so yeah, I don't need to worry about that. So yeah, we've got that whole family thing over there, and I'm moving on to our side storyline number 2. So this is with our good old friend Senator David Winters that we can never seem to get rid of. So remembering him from the first 2 books, basically now we've got him and his new buddy George Cartwright filing this lawsuit against like the entire United States government, I guess. And basically what they're suing for, I don't know if suing is the right word, but yeah, they're just filing a lawsuit. So yeah, what they want in this like huge bill that they've written and stuff is basically to slowly start taking away religious freedom, and they're just filing for separation of church and state even harder. And this is all hidden in this like super long bill, legal jargon. And basically they want to file it as quickly as possible before anybody else like can actually find out what's inside the bill. And so George Cartwright he's basically asking Winters if they can have like the support of their Justice Maxwell Pryor, who's like a Supreme Court justice. And so basically they want his support to help him get this lawsuit passed. arrest. And somehow all these three storylines are tied together somehow convolutedly. So yeah, basically we've got those three separate piles of messes going on there. So basically the bottom line is, well, Dinah, Ferguson, and Sinclair find out who this crazy bomber guy is before the time runs out. Only time will tell. So yeah, let's get onto the spoiler section because yeah, I need to spill the rest of the storyline. So yeah, non-spoiler people, you know the drill, and head down to the description, click on the timestamp, and it'll take you back to the non-spoiler sections. So yeah, let's go. Let me try and explain how these storylines are all tied together. So first of all, this bomber is bombing churches in order according to a lawsuit. And yes, it's a lawsuit that Senator Winters and his buddy Cartwright are filing. According to Senator Winters' lawsuit, which lists these churches that the bombers been bombing just because they run a program and the government is funding them for it because they're charities. So yeah, I'm kind of messed up there. And so now, since I can't think of any other creative way to tell you who the bomber is, I'll just tell you. It's Isabel's brother, Michael. So yeah, apparently like he got just so damaged from his dad's like abuse when he was a kid that like when he grew up he just had to like, he's just like scared of connecting with other people, and then so he just goes and hurts other people, and so he's been bombing all these churches. So yeah, basically things all come to a head one day when Isabel is late to get home to cook Scott dinner after a staff meeting and like at her work, and then she comes home and Scott is like furious, and they basically get into a big argument, and Scott finds out that Isabel has been like cutting herself on her arm, and he's like so mad because in a week they're supposed to go to this really fancy charity ball, and he's mad because like Isabel, because everybody will be able to see Isabel's scars on display on her arms. So yeah, he's really mad. And the next day when Isabel wakes up, Scott's already gone for work, and he's taken like all of her keys. He's taken her phone. He's taken the house phone. He's taken even the modem, and basically there's no way for Isabel to get into her car, drive to work. There's no way for her to call anybody. So what she does, she goes out and walks to Michael's house. She walks all the way to Michael's house. When she gets there, they have this like big talk, and then Michael shows Isabel what he's done, because like obviously the bombing has been on like TV and stuff, and to say the least, Isabel is shocked. Yeah, so basically the reason Michael gives Isabel is that like all the time when his dad has been like abusing him, like their family went to church every Sunday, and I guess they always like turned a blind eye to them. Michael even tried to tell their pastor that his dad was abusing him one day and like showed him his bruises and stuff to prove it. But then the pastor was like, "Son, you know it's like dishonoring to speak ill of your parents, etc." And Michael was like horrified. And then of course the pastor told his dad that he was like lying and stuff. Well, the pastor thought he was lying. And then of course his dad was furious at Michael, and that like gave him a broken bone the next day. So yeah, so Michael has been like really mad at church people ever since he thinks they're total hypocrites, and like they just turned a blind eye to everything, so then he bombs all the churches. Weird logic, but that's what he thinks. So basically Dinah, Ferguson, and Sinclair find out when Michael's mom, Rosa, calls them and it's like, "I know who the bomber is that's been on the news." Yeah, Rosa gives them Michael's address and they have to go to arrest him with SWAT teams. But apparently when they get there, they like call Michael and tell him to come out. Obviously Michael says that he's raked his entire house with bombs, and if they take one step closer, he's gonna press a button and they're like all gonna explode. So it's a kind of sensitive situation there. So they've got to do a lot of like persuasion and talking, and Michael says he's not going to surrender. So they're gonna have to use like lethal force on him. So he tells Isabel to leave, but Isabel is gonna be a loyal sister and stick with Michael. Michael's gonna pretend that Isabel is like his hostage so that the FBI won't like shoot him. And yeah, then basically they negotiate and Dinah goes into the house to talk with Michael and Isabel. So basically Dinah convinces Michael to let go of his notion of blowing himself up, which, thank goodness, that was really stressful for a moment for me there. And convinces Michael and Isabel to come out and lay down their arms. So yeah, that's taken care of. Yeah, now just a few more ends to wrap up. Good old Senator Winters and his lawsuit, because like Cartwright paid him to do this lawsuit. Apparently Cartwright and his intern, Connor Eastley, have totally exposed Winters, and they sent like all his information to the press, and now he's like caught up in this big scandal because like you can't accept outside money from other countries to help you with your campaign financing because Winters is going to run for president. And so yeah, now that this big scandal, so Winters resigns and like vows to hunt down Cartwright and Connor. But then we find on the end of the book that Cartwright is like supposedly a huge like kingpin and prince and like a really powerful like cartel and like drug trafficking things. So yeah, and Connor and Cartwright have like been wiped off the face of the earth. That of course they're not their real names, nor are those their real identities, and so they're vanished. Poof. Anyways, yeah. So Michael is gonna be in prison, and sadly he will be executed because capital punishment. But then now he, like, because Dinah's been sharing the gospel with him, and so now he's saved, so he's no longer afraid of death, so that's kind of a happy ending there. And then also Dinah and Aaron had been like kind of dating before, but then Dinah was like talking about it with her in small group, and they were like, you can't be equally yoked with a non-believer. And so Dinah was like, well, I have to break off things with Aaron because yeah, he's not a Christian. So, but then at the end of the book, Aaron is actually like truly interested in finding out more about Christianity, so kind of end with him like talking to Dinah's pastor and stuff like that. So yeah, all good there. Moving on to morals for world views. Again, if you want the full story of how I found these books, then read. No, not read. If you want the full story of how I found these books, then look at my first review of the first book in the series, which I'll link down below in the description for reference. But basically I found these at the Creation Museum in Kentucky. Julie Cabe is a Christian author, and again, this book carries really good Christian worldviews on like tough topics. Like for example, in this book they covered like domestic violence. Moving on to foul language. There were like no bad words. There was like a shut up and some minor rudeness, but yeah, that's literally it. As for violence, of course, this is like, as I've described to you in the summary, it's violent. So yeah, there weren't any like super graphic details of like killing and stuff, so nothing overtly gory there. Of course, I'll give a trigger warning for the domestic violence part. We did not get any like first-hand scenes of that, just like some flashbacks of some characters remembering times when their dad would like come and hit them and stuff. And I'll also give another trigger warning for self-harm. One of the characters has a habit of cutting herself whenever she's like stressed out. That's it. Moving on to romance. So again, there's some more romance in this book. We've got Dinah and Aaron who both like each other, but this also carries a good theme of not being unequally yoked with a non-believer, and eventually Dinah has to break off things with Aaron. But yeah, so now moving on to alcohol. Dinah, of course, is a past alcoholic, but she's been through rehab and counseling and now is in a women's study group to keep her accountable. And we've also got a few scenes when it describes Senator Winters as like drinking some bourbon and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he never gets like drunk because of it. So yeah, moving on to my rating and recommended age level I'm gonna rate this book 4 stars. I really liked it. Again, all these books are so well written. It has a good amount of suspense, action. It's fast paced, which I like in books a lot. However, the only thing that maybe like dock a star was the parts where we were getting from the killer's point of view, but like in diary format. I wasn't super crazy about that. Like there were some chapters from his point of view where like he was making the bombs and stuff like that, which I liked, but for some reason the diary part just didn't really work for me. I don't know why. But otherwise, like, this book is amazing. Definitely another one to add to your TBR. So yeah, that's it for my review of Pieces of Light. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'll see you guys next week to review the final book in this series. Bye!